As a member of Congress and as a presidential candidate, and as recently as this month, in your written responses to this committee, you have cast doubt on the assessment that Assad is culpable in these two attacks. Is that still your position?
Senator, I raised those questions given conflicting information and evidence that was presented at that.
Mark Kelly thought he had the perfect gotcha moment, the kind career politicians dream about. A chance to expose Tulsi Gabbard as some kind of Russian asset on national television. Instead, she turned his own question into a political grenade that blew up right in his smug face. What happened next was not just a response, it was a complete dismantling of years of deep state propaganda, and the look on Kelly's face said it all. But this hearing was not just about scoring political points. It was about exposing the dirty secret that Washington elites have been hiding for years. American tax dollars funding the very terrorists who murdered our citizens on 9/11. The same officials who lecture us about democracy were arming al-Qaeda behind our backs. And when Tulsi dared to tell the truth, they tried to destroy her with lies about Russia. You are about to witness the moment a combat veteran who served this country fearlessly refused to back down from a senator desperately trying to push a debunked narrative. And what she revealed should make every American's blood boil. Before I show you exactly how Tulsi destroyed Kelly's entire line of questioning, you need to understand what was really happening in that hearing room. This was not some routine confirmation hearing. This was an ambush, carefully planned to discredit the one person who had the courage to expose Washington's dirtiest secret. Our government was arming the same terrorists who killed thousands of Americans on 9/11. Mark Kelly, following the same tired playbook Hillary Clinton used in 2019, came armed with accusations about Russia. The implication was clear. If you question the intelligence community, you must be a foreign asset. It is the oldest trick in Washington. When you cannot refute the facts, attack the patriotism of the person stating them. But Kelly made one fatal mistake. He underestimated who he was dealing with. Tulsi Gabbard did not just serve in Congress, she served in combat. While politicians like Kelly were giving speeches, she was dodging bullets, and she was not about to let him smear her reputation with baseless insinuations. Let me take you back to what sparked this confrontation. Two specific chemical weapons incidents in Syria, Douma and Khan Sheikhoun. The Assad regime has absolutely used chemical weapons against civilians. No one disputes that fact, not even Tulsi. But in these specific cases, there were serious questions about the evidence. WikiLeaks released internal emails from the UN's chemical weapons watchdog showing staff members arguing over whether one of these attacks might have been staged. These were not Russian claims. These were concerns raised by the actual weapons inspectors on the ground. Now put yourself in Tulsi's position. You are a soldier who watched thousands of your brothers and sisters die in Iraq based on faulty intelligence about weapons of mass destruction. You see the same pattern developing in Syria, the same rush to judgment, the same calls for regime change, and you dare to say, wait a minute, let us make sure we have this right before we send more Americans to die. For this, they called her a Russian asset. For this, they tried to destroy her career. For this, Mark Kelly thought he could corner her in a Senate hearing. He was dead wrong. Kelly's first question seemed innocent enough. He asked why she doubted the intelligence community's conclusions in these two specific cases. But Tulsi, knowing exactly where he was headed, did not take the bait. Instead, she hit him with cold, hard facts that he was not prepared to address. The intelligence assessment was made with high confidence and low information. The sources were located in al-Qaeda-controlled territory, and there was conflicting information from UN weapons inspectors. These are not conspiracy theories. These are verifiable facts that any responsible leader would consider before sending American troops into harm's way. But Kelly was not interested in facts. He was there to push a narrative. So he doubled down, bringing up Putin and Assad, trying desperately to create a guilt by association smear. He quoted Tulsi saying, "The U.S. is providing direct and indirect support to terrorist groups to overthrow the Syrian government," acting as if this was some outrageous claim. What Kelly never expected was for Tulsi to come armed with the receipts, and this is where his entire strategy collapsed like a house of cards. Timber sycamore. Two words that should make every American demand answers. This was not some fringe conspiracy theory. This was a CIA program, now declassified, that funneled over $1 billion in weapons to so-called moderate rebels in Syria. The same weapons that wound up in the hands of ISIS and al-Qaeda. Let that sink in. While Americans were still mourning their loved ones killed on 9/11, while our soldiers were dying fighting terrorism, our own government was secretly arming the very monsters who attacked us. As Tulsi put it, this was a betrayal to me and every person who was killed on 9/11. Their families, and my brothers and sisters in uniform. She enlisted specifically to fight al-Qaeda after 9/11, only to discover that the Obama administration was working with the same terrorist organization to overthrow Assad. The Georgetown Journal of International Affairs confirmed it. The program facilitated the transfer of an estimated $1 billion in arms, ammunition, and training to Syrian groups. And where did those weapons end up? In the hands of ISIS and extremists who targeted Christians, Yazidis, and other minorities. This is not partisan politics. This is not Russia talking points. This is documented fact. And Kelly sat there squirming, unable to refute a single word because he knew it was true. Now think about the media's response to all this. When Trump finally shut down this disastrous program in 2017, how did they frame it? As a favor to Russia. Not as ending a program that armed terrorists, not as stopping a policy that destabilized an entire region and created a refugee crisis that overwhelmed Europe. No, they turned it into another Russian narrative because they could not admit the horrifying truth. Our government had been caught red-handed arming the very people who attacked us on 9/11. This is the same media that smeared Tulsi as a Russian asset for telling the truth. The same media that ran interference for intelligence agencies caught lying to the American people again and again. The same media now giving Mark Kelly softball coverage while he tries to revive these debunked smears. But Tulsi was not finished. She delivered the knockout blow that left Kelly visibly shaken. The regime change wars in Iraq and Libya led to the rise of terrorist groups. This is not opinion. This is historical fact. We toppled Saddam and ISIS filled the vacuum. We removed Gaddafi and Libya became a failed state and terrorist haven. These are the predictable consequences of removing dictators without a viable plan for what comes next. As Tulsi bluntly stated, I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad regime. But today we have an Islamist extremist who is now in charge of Syria, who danced on the streets to celebrate the 9/11 attack, who rules over Idlib with Islamist extremist governance, and who has already begun to persecute and kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria. This is the reality our foreign policy created. Not stability, not democracy, but the empowerment of the very extremists who want to destroy our way of life. And when Tulsi pointed this out, they called her a traitor. When she questioned the intelligence that could lead to another disastrous war, they questioned her patriotism. Mark Kelly, even after hearing this devastating factual takedown, could only respond with more innuendo about repeating Russian and Syrian information. He was not listening. He was not engaging with her points. He was sticking to a script that had already been shredded to pieces by facts he could not dispute. This hearing was not just about Tulsi Gabbard or Mark Kelly. It was about whether we as Americans can still handle the truth, whether we can face the ugly reality that sometimes our government does things in our name that betray everything we stand for, that sometimes the people sworn to protect us are actually putting us in danger. Tulsi enlisted after 9/11 to fight terrorists, only to discover our government was arming those same terrorists. Mark Kelly, rather than addressing this profound betrayal, tried to change the subject to Russia. He tried to make it about loyalty to intelligence agencies rather than loyalty to the truth and the American people. This is how they silence dissent in Washington. This is how they bury uncomfortable truths. This is how they keep funneling your tax dollars into programs that make America less safe while enriching defense contractors and furthering geopolitical games that cost American lives. But Tulsi would not be silenced. She would not back down. She would not let them bury the truth about timber sycamore or the consequences of our regime change obsession. And for that, every American owes her a debt of gratitude. The implications of what Tulsi revealed go far beyond this one hearing. If our intelligence agencies could mislead us about weapons programs in Iraq and Syria, what else are they hiding? If our government could secretly arm al-Qaeda in one country, where else are they doing the same thing? And if politicians like Mark Kelly will try to smear anyone who asks these questions, how can we ever get to the truth? These are not distant issues that don't affect your life. The refugee crises these policies create end up on our doorstep. The terrorists we arm today become the threats we face tomorrow. The trillions we spend on these misadventures are dollars not spent fixing our crumbling infrastructure, securing our border, or helping struggling Americans. This hearing should have been about ensuring our Director of National Intelligence focuses on real threats to America, not on targeting political opponents or covering up past mistakes. Instead, it became yet another attempt to silence a voice willing to speak uncomfortable truths, and this pattern keeps repeating. 6 Democratic senators, including Mark Kelly, recently appeared in a video urging service members to defy illegal orders. Yet when asked to clarify what specific orders they meant, they claimed they were being intimidated for simply stating the law. No explanation, no details, just vague accusations that create division and undermine trust in our institutions. This is the same playbook they used against Tulsi. Accuse without evidence, insinuate without specifics, attack the patriotism of anyone who questions the narrative, and rely on a compliant media to repeat these smears without examining the facts. But the facts remain stubborn things. Timber sycamore happened. Our weapons ended up in terrorist hands. Our regime change wars created power vacuums filled by extremists. And the American people paid the price in blood and treasure for these catastrophic policies. Tulsi Gabbard deserves credit not just for standing her ground in that hearing, but for having the courage to tell these truths when it would have been easier to stay silent. For putting country above party. For refusing to let politicians like Mark Kelly rewrite history to cover up one of the most shameful chapters in our foreign policy. The exchange between Tulsi and Kelly reveals something profound about the state of our politics. On one side, you have someone willing to speak difficult truths regardless of the personal cost. On the other, you have someone desperate to maintain a narrative even when confronted with undeniable facts. One represents what America should be, honest, brave, and willing to learn from mistakes. The other represents what too much of Washington has become: deceptive, cowardly, and determined to repeat the same failed policies regardless of the consequences. The question for us is simple. Which America do we want to live in? One where we confront hard truths about our foreign policy, or one where we smear truth-tellers as foreign assets? One where we learn from catastrophic mistakes like arming terrorists, or one where we pretend those mistakes never happened? Tulsi Gabbard shut down Mark Kelly because she had something he did not: the truth. Not talking points, not partisan spin, but documented, verifiable facts about one of the most disturbing episodes in recent American foreign policy. If this breakdown opened your eyes to what really happened in Syria and how Washington tries to silence those who speak out, hit that subscribe button right now. We are going to keep bringing you the stories others are afraid to touch, the clips others refuse to show, and the truth others try to hide. And while you are at it, check out our new merch store. The link is in the description. Every purchase helps us continue bringing you stories that the mainstream media tries to bury. The next time you hear someone smeared as a Russian asset for questioning the official narrative, remember this hearing. Remember how Mark Kelly came armed with innuendo and left exposed by facts. Remember how easily these accusations fall apart when confronted with documented evidence. The truth about our foreign policy may be uncomfortable. It may challenge what you thought you knew about America's role in the world. But facing that truth is the only way we avoid repeating the same disastrous mistakes that have cost so many lives and created so many enemies. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep thinking. Because in a world full of Mark Kellys trying to sell you prefabricated narratives, thinking for yourself is the most patriotic thing you can do.